That's the biggest question of all. Um, I really feel like being a sense of loving awareness in the world is kind of what I'm doing aside from music is just kind of being a source of positive energy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Denisa Tova, and today we are joined by incredible, talented blues artist Katie Henry from New Jersey, I think, but we will find out. Katie is a singer, she's a songwriter, and there's so much that she does. Her debut album, High Road, and a follow up, On My Way, have received critical acclaim, and with On My Way, it reached the top 10 on the Billboard Blues chart. And her latest album, Get Going, which was produced by Bernard Allison, showcases her finest performances yet. And we will have her talk about that. So I really am so intrigued by this incredibly talented woman. I was just telling her how her music just fills me up so much. And it's just sort of this mix of blues, pop, rock, funk, R&B, soul, country. I mean, all of that is in there. Welcome to the show, Katie.
Thank you so much, Denisa. And yeah, I'm glad that the music resonates with you. That's exactly how I would describe it.
Yeah, more than that, it's just like I mentioned, it literally fills me up, and I can't say that about, every song, but it really does. It lends in really in a big way. So, let's kick it off with a classic. Tell me your story. And I'm truly, truly interested. How did you get to where you are today?
Well, I'm from New Jersey, even though I'm in Philadelphia right now. So, growing up, it was a very rural area in North Jersey, so there wasn't much going on, and music was the thing that like filled my house. My parents are huge music lovers, so I just knew like every word to every song. I was always really clued into the lyrics and storytelling. Um, and then I took piano lessons as a kid too. So then the combination of lyrics and piano. So my voice was growing at that time, but I'd never really applied it. And then I was into like musical theater in school too. So I actually have an interest in acting as well. So maybe we could touch on that. But yeah, so I started writing songs as a teenager, and I think one of the most impactful moments was when I wrote a song for my friend who was going to college. She was like a year older than me. And I just had this like real desire to write a song because I felt like it was going to preserve the relationship that I had with her. That, yeah, life, you go through changes and transitions, but music is the thing that holds that, those kind of sacred relationships and moments in a space. And that that was really when I would consider myself a songwriter. But then I went to Manhattan College in the Bronx, and I didn't study music. I studied English and education, actually. And I joined the jazz band. I played piano in the jazz band. And then that's when I started to meet other musicians and ones who just liked to jam and play original music. And yeah, I had been writing songs, but I never played in a band before. So that
Mm.
was when I started to experiment with that. And I used to see this band, Dark Star Orchestra, a lot, and they performed a version of the Elmore James song, Hurts Me Too. And that just like hit me right in the gut, hit me right in the heart. And I just was like, I need to do this. So I did that at an open mic right in the Bronx, right near my college. And
Wow.
around that time, the bartender there was looking to make a blues band. And he was like, why don't you sing and play piano in this band? So that was my first official band, and that was exciting. And it was kind of all coming together right when I was graduating. I started to branch out, network more with musicians. And then I met a bass player in New York City who was looking to collaborate. And we started to write songs together. and I started to just build my sound with a band. But all this was happening while I had taught actually a few years after I had graduated. So I always felt conflicted of knowing I have this talent and ability and desire, but always feeling like, how am I gonna um, focus it in? And
Yeah.
whenever I talk about my journey, I just always say, like, I just follow the signs, and I just kept getting signs to keep going, whether that was people I met or opportunities that were coming my way. I just was like, okay, this is something I need to keep doing. And that led to the recording of High Road, which I actually only planned on recording a few songs for that because I had this big show. It was kind of my first festival uh, show that I had. That's a whole other story, but that was a big moment, and I wanted to have music. There's so many stories, but I'm
Yeah,
just
I
giving
love
you
it.
like kind of the main events. And when I was preparing for that show, I was like, I need to have recorded music, and that was my first time in a studio actually. So High Road is a very raw album, but yeah, that kind of started my journey that then just kept unfolding. Especially once Roof Records became involved, which was right before the pandemic. So, um,
Wow. It almost seems like you were born into it and you just kept on pursuing, and it was just like a natural transition. But I imagine, like with any success, I mean, there are challenges. Kind of looking back, really back, what would you consider to be like a biggest roadblock that you were able to overcome on your path? And what have you learned from that?
oh, there's a lot that goes into it because I think, especially with music or art, you're just pulling from such a personal place. And I think that that comes out in my songs. So I think it's really like my growth, just being more vulnerable as a person. That was like a big hurdle. I always kind of felt like, yeah, I was taking risks, but I was still kind of reserved a little bit. And I think that I've come a long way in really just like letting it out no matter what. So that's kind of on the music side. And then overcoming just, I guess, the changes of people in your life. But I feel like that's relatable no matter what path you go down. Some people I've played with that I don't play with anymore, or, I lived in New York City when I first started out, then I moved to New Jersey, now I'm in Philly. All of that all of those transitions bring with it kind of a sadness of letting the previous chapter go, but knowing that I need to keep moving forward. And I think that's a lot of what my recent album Get Going is about. It's just you can't stop for anything, and especially when you're pursuing this path, it's like I made it this far and I'm gonna keep going. So
Yeah, literally, you have been. You have been
yeah, and
going.
it's nice to just reflect on it.
Yeah. Wow. So your parents were in and there's a lot of music growing up. How have they been? What were their sort of their thought process as you went to college, you studied English? Were they open to you building a career in the musical field, or did they think, hey, you know what, this really doesn't pay well unless you landed really big? You really should have a regular job. What was that like?
Well, they've always been very supportive because they're music lovers, so they always um, were at the shows, always encouraging me. But yeah, there was this element of like, I'm worried that this is not going to give her what she needs. Um, but I think, that festival performance that I recorded High Road leading up to, that was in 2018. That really felt like when I was proving to myself and proving to everybody else that that I got this. Like, yes, there's concerns, but, you know, I have what it takes to do this. And I think that felt like the first big moment. And then over the years, it's just kind of that similar, okay, things, you just got to keep keep going, and
Yeah.
they've accepted it. All of their worries have kind of subsided because they understand that this is important to me.
Your style really, I don't even know how to define it. It is really a blend of so many different genres. How do you look at it? Is it intentional? Do you intentionally just pull from these different genres of music, or do you say to yourself, I don't care. This just lands really well with me, today, and so that's what it's going to be. How do you think about, where to sort of place yourself?
Um, I There's a lot of ways I can answer that, but I think I am a lyric person, and I am uh, always just trying to express what I need to. Like a lot of the songs are just things that I need to like move through or um, help me, yeah, just understand and move through things. So in that way, I'm not even thinking about genre. Um, but I know that when I started doing open mics and when I was finding myself musically and with a band, my voice really lends itself to the blues. So I have this bluesy thing going on, and the label that I'm affiliated with is a blues. I mean, their phrase is where the blues crosses over, which I think is appropriate in my case because I do feel that that bluesy element is like the base of what I'm doing. But
Hmm.
I grew up listening to country music. Linda Ronstadt is a huge influence, and she blended rock and country. Shania Twain was my first concert that I went to as a kid, and
Really?
the rock and country as well. So, and I think like my style of songwriting lends itself to country. And then I was a, early 2000s kid, so I had Britney Spears, Jessica Simpson, and all the big uh, pop stars, Backstreet Boys, going on during that time. So putting that all together, it's this exactly what you described, this bluesy rock country pop um, blend. So yeah, I think at this point um, I just know that that's what's naturally coming out of me. But it's
Yeah.
interesting. It makes me wonder, like, how my songs are going to evolve as time goes on.
Yeah. Well, you will probably just continue staying open, and whatever opens, whatever chapter's next, you will go with the flow, so to speak. I love that. It seems so freeing. And talking about vulnerability, that is such a powerful concept. So many people are afraid of it. I've interviewed some other artists, and that had seemed to be sort of that. It's either that making or breaking point. Is the minute they became vulnerable, they were able to connect with the audience, and they almost like found their own voice and a style. And um, that's not easy to do, right? To just get to put yourself out there.
Yeah, I just had chills when you were saying that because that really is the key to be able to connect is just putting all those walls that we have naturally to protect ourselves and bringing
Yeah.
them down, and it feels so unnatural, but
Yeah.
that's the way that we connect.
Yeah. You know, I literally, you came on the screen as we started, and I said, I like to start from a clean slate. So I don't believe in doing some massive due diligence and research on my guests beyond yeah, you want to get to know who they are, right? Before to have them safely on a show. Because it's like, when we come to this world, we come in with a clean slate, and then we are raised in a certain environment and take on experiences, thoughts from other people, create our own thought process, feelings, and stuff. So it's almost like I want to tap into that rawness. And so I love that. I love that when my guests are willing to be vulnerable and passionate, and that definitely, that I can sense that. How would you, how would you, if you couldn't define yourself by what you do, How would you define yourself at your core? Who are you?
Oh man, that's the biggest question of all. Um, that actually has been coming up for me, and it sounds very, I think a place that you would come to, and I want to meditate more. I've been making more of an effort, but just the I really feel like being a sense of a loving awareness in the world is kind of what I'm doing aside from music, is just kind of being a source of positive energy. And I feel like the things that you see in me are just a reflection of what's going on for you. So I just feel like this is a really cool opportunity for us to connect, because it means a lot that you are interested in knowing kind of the behind the scenes. But I definitely need to dive deeper into that question, especially because I, identify myself through my music so much. But yeah, there's so much. The music's almost just a vehicle for something deeper. So
Yeah. Yes. Now I have chills because because that when I started this podcast, I had no idea what this would be. No idea. I still do not know. I'm open to it. And people come in and I am naturally very curious, and to me it's a gift to connect with another being. And it's easy just to go right into what we do. So who are you? Well, what I do is, no, I didn't ask you that. So I had to
yeah.
actually do some of my own thinking about who is this being watching, the outside world. So that's such a cool question. So what do you do? What do you do when you're not making music? What are you into?
Well, I mentioned before that I got interested in acting, and even when I was giving the spark notes of my life, it was musical theater. Wicked, Phantom of the Opera, Les Mis. Like, I just love all of those plays. So it kind of felt like a full circle moment that I explored acting. I'm still enrolled, but life has gotten much busier in the acting school in Philadelphia called Playhouse West. And I just feel like I've grown not only as an actor, but the ways that it translates to music is also really, really interesting. And um, I just felt like if I don't explore this now, I might miss my chance. And yeah, like I said, the full circle connection between acting and music is really, really cool. So it makes me wonder you know, what I'll do with that skill set as time goes on, because it's kind of just been a exploratory thing. But I do love it. It's right in line with storytelling.
Mm.
But with that, um, reading and writing, and that's the English teacher in me that all connects as well. um, but yeah, other than that, I like to run and do yoga, and I was saying I want to meditate more. I always feel like um, it's always this balance of just accepting the times that you don't show up, kind of like with yoga too. You just have to showing up is the biggest part of
Yeah.
it. But yeah, and then just spending time with people I love, family and friends, and just always connecting with people.
Acting, that is an interesting journey. If you were, and that's it may be a different path, but if you were to
Mhm.
play a role of a lifetime,
Mm.
what would that be?
That's such a good question. Um, I think about, um, well, not exactly A Star is Born, but I do love the storyline of someone just finding themselves and overcoming things. Kind of like it would allow me to pull from my own story, but I would want to tell the story of someone else. So that would kind of be like a dream role of mine. But I also
Mhm.
feel strongly about being an example for women or young girls. So I feel like the roles that I would want would satisfy that too.
Hmm. I love that. That is really powerful. Are you hooked on any shows?
I actually haven't been watching too many shows lately. I actually just did a trip to Germany, so I've gone to Europe a lot in
Oh.
the past 2 years because the blues label that I'm affiliated with is based in Germany. So I was on the plane, and I'm years behind, but I saw The Joker for the first time, and wow, I
I have
love that
not.
movie. Oh my,
Really?
I didn't expect to like it so much. It was like when I read a book and I just get in the character's head. I was just so in that mindset of the Joker, for better for worse. And yeah, I'm excited for the second movie coming out, I think in the fall with Lady
Really?
Gaga. That should be really good.
Oh, wow. No, I have not even watched that. Oh my gosh. I know it's a very powerful movie. It's deep and it's complicated, right? It's but it I heard it was really good.
Yeah, and I know there's so many different movies that involve the Joker and different actors
Yeah.
that have taken on the role, but this one with Joaquin Phoenix,
Yeah.
it was funny. I was watching that, and then somebody else on the plane was watching Walk the Line, which is one of my favorite
Oh,
movies. But Joaquin Phoenix is the main character in both, so I was just
yeah.
in awe of his acting ability.
That's so funny because when I started well, I started a podcast last year, and I think it was like the aftermath of COVID, not necessarily very close to it, but starting to transition away. And many people are still hooked on shows, and even the conversations I would have, it's like, what are you watching these days? Okay, and I'm binging this and I'm binging that. And now, more so recently, it's like, I don't even have time
Yeah.
so I think people generally just resuming and that's funny that you said that. I generally catch up on stuff on a plane as well. So it's
Yeah.
yeah. Too busy living life for
Yeah.
sure. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You know, and you smile a lot, we laugh a lot. This is one of my favorite questions. What we all have those little things that get under our skin. What would you say
Yeah.
yours is, this pet peeve?
That's a good one. I feel like I don't get asked that a lot, but maybe just like make I don't know, just unnecessary noise is maybe just a recent thing that's on my mind because I moved to a different area in Philly that's more populated, and there's a lot more noise going on, and I'm like getting irritated. There's like yelling, construction, things going on.
Mm,
Um, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be something that I need to find my inner peace amongst. But I think in line with that is just being in crowded areas. And it's funny because I grew up in like a country
yeah.
area, and now I'm in the city, and I love both. But yeah, it's just there are things that get on my nerves a little easier, I think, in the city with just the noise and the crowds. It's harder for me. I think being in nature is like much easier to find that Zen place. So it'll be a challenge.
Yeah, something to grow through. I hear you actually. I had to I seek place where I can, if I want to really create it's business or whatever it is, I seek out calm and quiet. It's hard for me to focus, when there's just so much being, thrown at me. So that's a tough one. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
What is advice that you would give to up and coming artists? Maybe something that you had to learn yourself and something maybe you were not prepared for.
Um, I think one of the hardest things is that you are looking for external validation in what you're doing, and there is a level that is needed or necessary, so that you know that there's like feedback that affirms the
Mm,
quality of what you're doing, the level of what you're doing. So I think finding the balance between that feedback and affirmation
mm,
with also not needing that or not relying on it is really difficult. And I don't think that I understood it until I was in it,
Mm,
just how important it is to, and I don't even know how I would, it was one of those things I think I had to live to learn, and I'm still learning, obviously, and it's a tough thing. But I think the people, like my best friend, for example, she's been my fan since day one, since I sang to her at a high school party and she was like, yo, you should keep doing that. And I was like, oh, I should. Okay. She really affirmed me. And when I was just kind of messing around, and that she's always been someone who is affirming me, but in a way that I need, and in a way that's also just
mm,
healthy. Whereas I think being in the studio, being with people who have more experience, um, more parts of their career that they've accomplished, you just kind of, I know I did, I got kind of intimidated or wanting so badly for them to say, this is good. But in that, it's easy to lose what your own assessment of good is. And I think from, my first album to my recent one, I've just been really growing, and I know that I'll keep growing in that way. But I would, if I were to mentor or help younger artists through something, it would definitely be something that involves finding their own assessment for good. And that, yes, it's okay to look for affirmation, but relying on it will just bring you away from your artistic voice, and that's what it's all about. So
yeah, that is applicable in so many aspects of life. And as an entrepreneur, there is the same dilemma, is like, do we want to go wide, have as many customers, as many followers, but eventually people fall off, right? It sort of becomes this, if you become almost like this, it's popular today, it's gone tomorrow, versus, in my mind, it's going deep. And people who can resonate with your voice, your message from the beginning, may not be as wide, um, but then over time you develop sort of the following. And again, we spoke about it earlier, is it's coming from your authentic self. And I think people can they can sense that. And it's tough. I can see how that would be tough, especially when you're trying to build yourself up, make money, monetize it, trying to figure out, well, do I have to do this, look a certain way, sound a certain way, sing about certain things, in order to make it. Yeah, I could see how that would be tough. That's a tough dilemma.
yeah, and definitely relatable, like you said, not just for artists. There's always this, I need feedback to what I'm
Yeah.
doing, but then there's this also element of like, feedback doesn't matter. It's what needs to come out of you for
Yeah.
you.
Wow. That's so true.
Yeah.
So true. Wow. So, you know what? This is, we keep just smiling and laughing through it, and really great deep conversation. Um, Lastly, I'm just curious, what makes you really laugh out loud, like really crack up?
Oh my gosh. I'm glad that you're zoning in on that because I definitely have always been easy to laugh, and I'm grateful for that
Oh, me
because,
too. Yeah.
yeah, it keeps me sane
Goofy. Like
for
I
sure.
can get too goofy. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many more things that are funny, and I also find that when things are true, like true things are the funniest things. So that's even when it doesn't, even when it's not a joke, it's just like it's a way to just acknowledge that we're in a place of truth, I think. So
Mm.
I love to laugh all the time, but what makes me, I guess, just like sarcastic humor. I don't know. It's hard for me to describe my. One of my friends works with a lot of comedians, and he's just really funny. And my best friend that I mentioned before, she really knows how to make me laugh. But yeah, I think I'm just I'm just glad that I have people that know how to make me laugh, because even when you're asking me this question, I'm like, I don't even know what it is. It's kind of
Yeah.
the unspoken element of somebody's mannerisms, maybe, that really get me going.
Yeah, well, we can keep it going. I know that. It's I love to people watch. It could be a comedy from the 80s, it could be I don't know, I watched was it oh my God, Fletch with Chevy Chase. That was a scene from the movie and I just couldn't stop. I could not stop. I was hurting so bad and it was so silly and goofy and I don't know. I really do connect with people who can laugh at themselves um, and yeah, I love what you said about it. It brings the truth. It's like there's something at its core, you're not laughing at somebody. That's different
Yes.
than just with somebody. Yeah, we need to do more of that.
Yeah, definitely. It's just I like when people say that they take their work or what they care about seriously, but everything else, like, yeah, they don't take themselves
Yeah,
seriously. And that resonates with me because, you know, this is an experience that we're having. We know it doesn't last forever, and
yeah,
that's kind of just the lightness. To me, that's not like a heavy thing. That's like, oh, cool, we can
yeah,
enjoy it then.
absolutely. So, before I let you go here, what's next for you? What exciting stuff do you have coming up?
Well, my recent album was released earlier this year, and so I've just been playing those songs live, and I actually have a lot of shows coming up. Where are you based?
Long
I need
Island?
to Long Island. Okay, I need to come out to Long Island then. I don't
Yes.
think I'll be near there, um, but but I do have like a friend there, so I'm gonna look into that. But
Awesome.
I'll be actually making my way out to the Midwest in August. But before that, I'm playing in Florida for the first time
Mm.
at this festival called the Ballroom Blues Fest. So that'll be fun. And funny story, with a tour that I did with the label in Europe, I was talking with another band backstage, and there was this guy who said, "Oh, I'm from Croatia." And I thought, "Oh, I've never spent much time thinking about Croatia, but it seems like a cool place." And we stayed connected. He was affiliated with a festival there. Hold on one second. Didn't silence my phone. Um, but yeah, he was affiliated with a festival there, and long story short, I played it last summer and it started
Wow.
raining during my set. So then they were like, "Oh, we need to get you back next year." So I'm thankfully going to be going back to Croatia. That show is July 19th, so that's
Oh,
coming up.
wow.
But wow, Croatia is one of the most beautiful places in the world. It makes me want to go to, I've never been to Italy or Greece, but it's all like right in that same part of the world. So I'm excited. I'm excited to go back. And yeah, this is a good window of time that we got to connect, because I feel like once the summer starts rolling, it's really in full swing. And then, early fall is when it'll start to like, I'll be able to digest. But I think that's the pace of this life, is like it's very busy and then it subsides and then you get to process what happened. And talking with you is a great opportunity to just unplug and process and connect. So thanks so much for having me on here.
Oh, my pleasure. And I know I'll have you back for sure. And that's exciting, actually. I was born and raised in Prague, Czech Republic, many, many years
Oh,
ago. Never been to Croatia, though. I've been to so many countries, but that makes me happy, makes me smile. And yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. What a great opportunity. So I will, yeah, definitely we'll have you back and we'll continue our chat. And if you make it out here for sure, definitely we'll stay connected. Let me know. And it's been really fantastic hearing about how you think about where you are, the world, your journey, your music, and yeah, and to all of our listeners and viewers, definitely we'll post the links to your website and your social media so people can follow you. And do not forget to hit subscribe on our YouTube channel, Beyond the Bar Podcast. Follow us on all social media platforms with the links below. And until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.